Hello, fellow entrepreneurs. Welcome to my channel where I read and summarize books relating to being a better entrepreneur. I met no one who I thought was wise who didn't read. I believe reading is essential for those who seek to rise above the ordinary. So today, we'll be learning from Peter Drucker's book, The Effective Executive. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Learning how to navigate our way to success within a company is a crucial skill for many of us today who work for corporations. Growing as an effective executive will assist you in accomplishing this goal. This video is broken up into 6 parts. Part 1. Effective executives aren't born, they're cultivated. Part 2. Knowledge workers versus manual workers. Part 3. Communication and decision-making is essential. Part 4. Importance of a time diary. Part 5. Focus on your employees' strengths and delegate. Part 6. Make sure your job description is written clearly when looking to hire new talent. Part 1. Effective executives aren't born, they're cultivated. Begin by becoming more aware of yourself. Management is about leading by example, not about transforming others. An effective executive understands what needs to be done, how to put ideas into actions, and how to instill a sense of responsibility and accountability across the board. President Harry S. Truman of the United States is a good example of a successful leader. Although Truman wanted to focus on domestic issues when he took office in 1945, he recognized that issues abroad required attention. As a result, he concentrated on foreign policy and became one of the most effective foreign policy presidents in American history. These kinds of outstanding results are only possible if you work hard to improve yourself. Examine your own performance carefully to do so. This can be a powerful tool for self-development if done correctly. You'll be able to better understand your strengths and pinpoint areas for improvement by comparing final results to initial expectations. Performance reviews can also reveal any misunderstandings you may have. Decision bias, for example, is when you make decisions based on the loudest or most prominent suggestions. Another reason performance reviews are beneficial is that they allow you to identify your true weaknesses, areas where you can't really improve. You'll be better able to delegate decisions to others as a result of this, which will improve the overall outcome. So, what specific changes can you make in your day-to-day life to help you and your company become more effective? An effective executive understands that she'll be judged on her performance, so she plots the best course to achieve her objectives. Organizations are what make up society. We must learn how to navigate them effectively and efficiently as workers, whether at the executive or entry level. Part 2. Knowledge workers versus manual workers. Knowledge workers are becoming more prevalent in today's world. A knowledge worker, such as a market analyst or human resource professional, is a specialist in a specific field who primarily works with their mind. Manual workers, on the other hand, create concrete goods with their hands. Because knowledge workers are constantly making specialized decisions that have the potential to affect the entire organization, they are ultimately performing an executive role. After all, making decisions is what an executive does. So, how can we evaluate the performance of executives and knowledge workers? Workers who work by hand produce items that can be quantified and measured against a specific goal. However, you can't exactly assess an executive's performance in the same way. And while executives frequently work longer hours than manual workers, simply counting the number of hours spent at work does not indicate whether they've worked effectively. In the end, executives and knowledge workers can only be judged on their achievements. It's more complicated than that, though. The majority of people do not work or produce results on their own. Working in an organization is all about working together as a team. Most businesses combine knowledge workers with a variety of strengths, specialties, and skills. Part 3. Communication and decision-making is essential. Effective executives understand how to direct communication for the best results. While hospitals, for example, employ a diverse range of specialists, nurses, pharmacologists, surgeons, and so on, each with their own jargon and procedures, the lines of communication between them must be as clear and open as possible in order to collaborate effectively. As an executive, you must make decisions and stick to them, even if they are unpopular. Executives are in charge of making decisions, and making decisions begin with the most important decision. Is it really worth it to make this choice? You can get an answer to this question by asking yourself 2 additional questions. 1. What would happen if you did nothing in this situation? And 2. Is it likely that the benefits of your decision will outweigh the risks and costs? If the answer to the second question is no, don't go any further. Effective decision makers are also aware of the boundary conditions, or the conditions that form the foundation of a decision. For example, when Franklin D. Roosevelt ran for president of the United States in 1933, he promised to use the existing balanced budget to help the economy recover from the Great Depression. His criterion for approval was a balanced budget. However, between the end of his presidential campaign and his inauguration, Roosevelt witnessed the economy deteriorate and the balanced budget vanished. Roosevelt, however, being a great decision maker, realized that since his boundary condition was no longer available, his recovery plan was unworkable. As a result, economic reform was the more effective strategy. It's difficult to make decisions. However, putting them into action can be even more difficult, as it necessitates a great deal of courage. You must, however, follow through on your decisions if you want to be an effective leader. Ineffective decision-making is all too common, unfortunately. Many policy statements don't include commitments to take action. Finally, a policy will not take effect unless the new regulations are enforced. You can't let this happen as a business leader. It is up to you to determine who is accountable for each action. It's also your responsibility to accept responsibility for the decision. Others may criticize you if your decision fails, but it is your responsibility to take that risk. Listen to different points of view and learn from past mistakes to make the best decisions. An executive's performance is always judged by his results. That's a lot of pressure to handle. Yet, as a CEO, you have no way of knowing what will happen when you make a decision. In fact, you have no choice but to take the path that you believe is best suited to the problem you're attempting to solve. But how do you know if you made the right decision? There aren't any perfect solutions. When making decisions, however, it is beneficial to consider other people's perspectives and compare them to your own. Working with a variety of people allows you to be more open-minded when making decisions, which is why it's important to work with a variety of people. Simultaneously, you must assist them in the same way that they assist you by promoting their professional development. There is a widespread misconception that the most effective organizations are those with the best people. In fact, organizations that motivate and support employee self-development are successful. Developing yourself, on the other hand, is an important aspect of effective leadership. When it comes to making decisions, the best way to do so is to constantly assess your own past performance by comparing results to expectations. This type of feedback mechanism is critical. Consider a political system that is often ineffective because it lacks a regular and systematic review process. Decisions made within corporations and the military, on the other hand, are constantly reviewed, potentially leading to more effective organizational structures and better outcomes. Former U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower made a lot of decisions and put them into practice while serving as a U.S. Army general. However, as president, his words and ideas rarely resulted in concrete action. Part 4. Importance of a time diary. Because time is a valuable commodity, make sure you eliminate time-wasting activities. Every executive must deal with constraints, but there are some things you can do to increase your budget, such as hiring more staff or increasing profits. Time is the only thing that is truly finite. Because time is your most valuable resource, it's critical to learn how to make the most of it. To do so, keep a time diary to track your activities. Peter Drucker asked a group of executives to guess how they spent their time during the workday, to demonstrate how little we know about how we use our time. The group was astounded to see the results after a few weeks of keeping a time diary, which were drastically different from their initial guesses. Before making a decision, we need more time to understand what's at stake. In fact, acting too quickly can waste time, because if you make a bad decision, you'll have to go back and try a different approach later. Because time is so valuable, be aggressive about eliminating time wasters, like unnecessary meetings and social obligations. You are not obligated to attend a dinner invitation from another executive. For 2 years, one CEO, for example, ate out every night. She felt she was wasting her time in this manner, but she didn't see any other option. But she eventually realized that she wasn't required to attend client dinners or events. Other employees were able and willing to attend in their place. Meetings, like social events, can eat up time, especially for knowledge workers. However, most meetings do not necessitate everyone's attendance. Only invite team members who are directly related to the subject at hand and who will be able to attend the meeting. Also, avoid pressuring people to make decisions. When dealing with something important, it can take a long time to arrive at the best decision. A short meeting can be beneficial if it is focused and productive rather than rushed. Part 5. Focus on your employees' strengths and delegate. No organization is built or runs on the backs of a single person. You will always have to rely on the contribution of other employees as an executive. Delegation is an important skill to have, but make sure you delegate in a way that encourages collaboration. It's about utilizing a person's strengths rather than having them do your job for you. Only delegate when someone is better than you at a task, and make sure they have the time and resources to complete it. It's not just about delegation when you're an executive. You also have a job to do. Concentrate on what you can bring to the company that no one else can. Keep your focus on the task at hand and use your abilities to defend your position and your work. Finding the best role for yourself within a company also entails managing your boss. Cooperate and be proactive in improving your working relationship by concentrating on productivity and effectiveness. If you do the best job you can so that your boss doesn't have to waste time managing you, your position and opportunities within the company will greatly improve. You can create an effective and collaborative working environment by following these steps and focusing on people's strengths. Communication, self-improvement, and support for others are powerful because they enhance everyone's strengths while obscuring any weaknesses. Andrew Carnegie's success was based on his ability to tap into people's strengths. In fact, before his death, he requested that the phrase, "Here lies a man who knew how to bring into his servicemen better than he was himself," be engraved on his tombstone. Part 6. Make sure your job description is written clearly when looking to hire new talent. Job descriptions frequently include a ridiculous list of required qualifications, to the point where it's difficult to imagine anyone fitting into such a role. It is your responsibility as a successful executive to improve job descriptions in order to find the best candidate for your company. Rather than trying to match a single person to an overly specific list of job requirements, look for the right person with a flexible skill set to fill that open position. Assume you're in the market for a new salesperson. You find a candidate who fits the bill in some ways, but has more coding experience than sales experience. Some executives would reconsider the position to take advantage of the candidate's rare coding skills, but a good executive would keep looking. Why? You don't want to have to change the position after it's been filled, so write job descriptions that are well thought out and written, and stick to them. Creating a challenging position that capitalizes on a person's strengths can yield incredible results and attract the candidates you need. So, before you start interviewing, make sure you know what you need to fill a position. The most important factor is whether a candidate can meet the job's requirements, not whether he has a prestigious degree or a fascinating background. Once you've filled the position, make sure to build on the new hire's strengths, find ways to mitigate his weaknesses, and assist him in developing and growing. How do you go about doing this? By concentrating on possibilities rather than problems. Of course, problems must be addressed, but problem solving does not produce excellent results. Rather, it merely prevents damage. So, tuning into your strengths, identifying areas for improvement, and following a few basic principles for navigating within your organization can help you become an effective executive. To produce better results, you must learn how to work effectively with others, create a cooperative working environment, and support others. This wraps up the summary from the book, The Effective Executive by Peter Drucker. Thank you for sticking out through the very end of this video. Nothing helps out my channel more than y'all watching the entire video. These videos take a long time to make, and is a labor of love. If you would like to contribute by buying me a cup of coffee, I'll leave the link below along with the link to this book. And as always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe and watch these videos that might pique your interest. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, keep reading.